Hello, internet friends! Eintech was kind enough to send over the Odin2 Mini that I ordered earlier for review purposes, and I'm so glad because I really like this thing. Let's get into some of the reasons why I think this just may completely replace my Odin 2 as my higher-end Android device of choice. First, I wanted to talk a little about my experiences with the original Odin 2, which I've had for about 2.5 months. The model I have is the White Pro model, and I've got to say, this is a device that I really enjoy playing on, despite some of its drawbacks. Gasp! Drawbacks, you say? Why yes, I adore the original Odin 2, but I did find that the grip was just a bit too bulky for my small hands. I didn't notice it at first, but on longer gaming sessions, it's become apparent that this is the case. The device is so good in every other respect, though, that I just kind of deal with it. If I persevere and let my hands settle into the grip for a while, I do end up forgetting that it's slightly too big for my comfort. And of course, size is a factor in other respects too. The Odin 2 is just slightly too big to fit in most of the bags I tend to carry around with me, which means it is often left behind at home. This is such a shame because the battery life on this thing is phenomenal, and I do think it's a solid daily driver for someone who likes to lug around a bigger bag. It's definitely not a giant like the Steam Deck, so there's that. I did find that I ended up using it a lot less than I thought I would. Mostly because if I'm lounging around at home, I tend to use the Steam Deck or something more compact that I can easily hold up above my face without fear of it dropping on my face. I can't deny that I love the powerful chipset in the Odin 2 though. Being able to emulate Switch adequately and also play some indie PC games through Winlator is super convenient. So when the Odin 2 Mini was released, and I discovered it had basically the same specs as the Odin 2, it was difficult to resist. And as we all know, I never regret not resisting. So let's get into this shiny little Odin 2 Mini. I particularly love this white version. It's so clean looking and fits so well in my hands. These crystallized buttons are also beautiful. I just love to look at them. The analog triggers and analog sticks feel amazing, with the triggers giving just the right level of response. They don't have as much travel as the Odin 2s, but that's not really something I mind. I do have to say, I don't know if this is something I can fix in a future update, and maybe it's a drawback of getting my unit a little bit earlier than everyone else, but I do notice that there is some dark vignetting around the screen. It's not something that really affects gameplay quality for me, but it is rather noticeable, especially if you're comparing it side by side to the original Odin 2 Pro. Aside from that issue, the screen is really amazing. I don't really know what a mini LED screen means, but in a dark room, the blacks are pretty black. They don't look gray at all. It also gets so bright, you guys. For some context, the brightness at 50% is comparable to the original Odin 2 screen at a full 100. When I'm playing this in the dark, I can dial this brightness all the way down to the lowest setting and still see it very comfortably. Now, I have pretty bad night vision, so I think for someone with super sensitive eyes, or maybe just regular eyes, the lowest setting might still be too bright. Russ from Retro Game Core says he much prefers the original Odin 2's brightness settings, but I've always preferred brighter screens, and this screen gets bright. I took the O2M out with me to watch my family frolic in our neighborhood pool and sat poolside under some shade, completely blown away by how visible this screen is, even on a bright day. You guys, at 100% brightness, this screen is visible even in direct sunlight, which kind of blows my mind. I mean, I wouldn't play it in direct sunlight because I don't like direct sunlight on me, let alone on me and an expensive handheld, but in a pinch, it will allow me to do this. And this size is just perfect for carrying around on the go. It even fits my handy dandy Konken hip pack. Can you believe it? I think it's a tight fit, and I'd love to have something to protect the screen, but again in a pinch, it will do. Here's a size comparison between the Mini and the regular Odin 2. The O2M is around the size of a Nintendo Switch, with a slightly smaller screen, 5 inches to the light's 5.5, but it's also a little more rounded on the edges and maybe just a tiny smidge narrower. Playing on the Mini feels very similar to playing on my Switch Lite, which I've always loved to play on. Right now, the Odin 2 does lose out in terms of ergonomics, because there's no integrated grip like there is on the larger Odin 2. But I have faith that given a little bit of time, the internet will come up with something, or several somethings, to address this issue for me. And then I'm pretty sure the Odin 2 Mini will be the perfect high-end portable device. For me, at least. For now, the ergonomics do leave something to be desired. There are these pads in the back that are supposed to act as a grip and provide maybe a little bit more friction, but honestly to me, they may as well not be there. They don't feel as cushiony or frictiony as I'd like. My hands tend to get sweaty when I'm playing games because I tend to run hot, and also because I live in Hawaii and we are decidedly tropical. Still, when my hands aren't sweaty, like when I first pick up the device or I'm in a highly air-conditioned room, the Mini has the same problem the Odin 2 had for me, in that it's pretty slippery. The plastic is just so nice and smooth, but that also means I'm always a little bit scared that I'll accidentally drop this, which affects the tension in my hands when I'm holding it. This problem was completely sorted out for me by the Odin 2's TPU grip shell thing. The problem with this one is that it only comes in one color and is a lint/dust/cat hair magnet. It is impossible to keep this grip shell pristine, so I don't even bother. Here you can see a plethora of things stuck underneath the shell of my Odin 2. It doesn't bother me, but it's definitely not ideal, especially if you like taking pretty pictures of your handhelds. Cat hair and dust tends to ruin the aesthetic, I've found. So I imagine that if we get a similar shell for the Mini, it'll come with some of the same issues. I did try ordering a 3D printed grip for the Odin 2 from Etsy, but that didn't work for me. The 3D printed material was actually slipperier than I thought it'd be, and the grip also made it more difficult for me to reach the controls. Holding the Odin 2 with this on was just too awkward. It will probably do wonders for you if you're a big-handed person though. Despite these shortcomings, the Odin 2 Mini is still a great device. Like I said, it sits very comfortably in my hands, and because it's so small, not having a dedicated grip doesn't feel quite as uncomfortable as it would on a bigger device. The bright screen that I can actually see outdoors while pretending to watch my kid play at the neighborhood park is my favorite part. But of course, the controls are also amazing. I loved the sticks on the Odin 2, which are very similar to the ones on the Retroid Pocket 2S and Retroid Pocket 4 Pro, and those are the same sticks I get on the Odin 2 Mini. The performance is the same too. Switch emulation is highly possible. I can play staples such as Hades and Enter the Gungeon, and also some newer faves like Animal Well and Sea of Stars. PS2 didn't have any hiccups for me either, and Android games run great, even games that require higher performance like Fortnite or Genshin Impact. Everything else that I've tossed at this thing, it's played and played well, even Pico 8. Yes, that's right. I know there's no native Pico 8 support for Android, but using Aiden Walls' Android Pico 8 tutorial, linked below, I've been able to enjoy native Windows Pico 8 through emulation. That's pretty cool, I must admit, but even cooler than that is I've found many of the DRM-free indie PC games I've acquired in various itch.io bundles also work. Here is Celeste, playing beautifully through Winlator. And here is Bleed 2, which I think has really snappy controls and is super fun to play. Long Gone Days, which is an RPG I've been wanting to try for a while, also runs without issues. I've been having a lot of fun combing through my itch.io catalog and fishing out low-spec indie games to try on Winlator. It's so neat to be able to play these games on a device of this size and quality. And that's the gist of it. The O2M just has a really nice balance between size and quality. It doesn't skimp on the truly important features of a handheld, which for me are good controls and solid performance. It doesn't have the flashy RGB lighting and fingerprint reader that the Odin 2 does, but I don't miss those features very much. Okay, so I do miss the pink RGB lighting, but I usually turn it off when gaming at night anyway, so fair trade-off. The Odin2 Mini also doesn't have those two back buttons, but again, don't miss those either. In fact, I never really got them to work for me and don't use them regularly anyway. What we're left with is an Android gaming handheld that's powerful, super cute, and compact. I spent this Tuesday out and about with my family and took this on the go with me. It fit in the carrying case I usually hold my Odin 2 in, only with enough space to also fit my keys in the front pocket and my phone in the inside pocket. I have the shoulder strap from my bigger TomTalk Steam Deck bag, which hooks right onto this one, and I've got to tell you, this is a setup I could get used to. The battery life on the Odin2 Mini did dwindle down to around 10% by the time I called it a night. I'd say more resource-hungry games will probably last 2 to 3 hours. Playing lower-spec retro games will clock you around 5 to 7 hours, maybe 8 if you're lucky, and don't mind that the power light starts flashing red at around 10% battery life. The original Odin 2 has got it beat when it comes to battery life. This thing is a monster, and will last literally all day and night. But for a handheld that you're taking around on the go with you, the O2M's battery life isn't bad. So those are basically my thoughts on the Odin2 Mini. I really love it, and I could see myself completely replacing my original Odin 2 with this one, especially if something comes out to address the slipperiness and ergonomics. Of course, this device, like most devices, isn't for everyone. If you prefer a bigger screen and a comfier grip, plus insane battery life, you might want to get an Odin 2 instead, or spring for a Steam Deck if Android isn't really your thing and you want to play PC games also. If you're looking for something more portable than the OG Odin 2 or Steam Deck, and you're okay with having to recharge it more than once in a blue moon, then the Odin2 Mini might be the perfect choice for you. Internet friends, this Mini is so cute, and I hope you enjoyed spending time with it and with me. If you found this video helpful or entertaining, or both, please do give it a thumbs up and like or comment down below. Just a reminder that I have a Discord server where like-minded friends can come hang out with me and the cozy crew, and we'd love to meet you and geek out with you over retro handhelds together. So please come join us if that seems like your kind of thing. As always, please be kind to yourself, be kind to everyone else, and happy gaming. Bye-bye.